They start talking about their passion and their gifting and what it could be and the possibilities. And we talk to them about, if you could do one thing for God and knew you wouldn't want to fail at it, what would that be?
You ask people that question?
We do. And we say, what have you seen up and down the halls of Crossroads Fellowship? What have you experienced in classrooms, in teams, that you would, if someone would ask you to do that, you would do it, but no one's ever asked you. No one's ever invited you into that ministry. Would you like to do that? And
Kathy, and now I'm going to put my leadership hat on. I'm going to be a pastor. But Kathy, I'm in a big church. I need 40 people just at 8:30 to help me run the children's ministry. You got to push people my way. Why is that the wrong attitude? Even though I do need those 40 people, what does your experience of asking tell you about where those 40 people probably should come from?
We want people to be doing what God's got designed them to do. We want them to wake up on Sunday morning, Wednesday night, whatever it is, getting ready to come to church, and they can't wait to get here because they enjoy ministry. We don't want people doing ministry here and going, ugh, I hated that. Oh, I got to get up and go do that.
When is my turn? When I get off the schedule?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And you're saying there's a secret to figuring that out.
There's a secret to figuring that out is to listening to them. And when you listen to them with really this agenda-free listening, they begin to get animated and their face lights up and their hands start to move as they're talking because you've tapped into what really motivates them.
Let me ask you something that I think you might know where I'm going with this. Have you ever heard someone say something through this agenda-free listening and then you thought to yourself, oh, I want them to do that here, but we're not set up for that. And then you thought, I can't wait to get to staff meeting. We got to rejigger Crossroads and create the opportunity for that person to do that.
Absolutely. Over the years, we've done that 100 times, with, we don't offer that here, but you know what? God may have sent you here for us to begin doing that. So we don't have that ministry yet, but it may be that you've come here for such a time as this.
Let me just reinforce that to our listeners here. It's easy for us to do autopilot ministry. It's easy to do drive-by mission. We got to figure it out. We call it on this site transactional. There's a place for transactional ministry. But what you're kind of speaking to is transformative for the pastor who's willing to get a highly motivated, generated person, as well as, hey, I'm empowered to reallocate how we do things so that this passionate person God just brought here can do what God brought them here to do.
Right, exactly. Well, and if you just plug 40 people into your ministry and it's not really what they want to do, they're just doing you a favor, within 6 months you are now filling those 40 positions again, and then 6 months later again. And so you really need to get people who are passionate about children's ministry, passionate about being an usher, passionate about greeting, passionate about being missions or serving in our community, whatever that might be. And so if you hear that and you tap into that, you likely will have a lifetime volunteer, a minister who is willing to carry the load, to do the work because they really
They
believe.
may have found the niche that God has for them. And it happens to be the third grade teacher
Exactly.
at 11 o'clock or whatever.
Yeah. And we've got people here, I've got people that have ushered for me for the entire time that I've been here, 24 years.
And you got new people that
and I have new people,
yeah.
exactly. And then I've got new people, and they start all the time, continually making room for new people. And honestly, we hold people freely in ministry because we know that God grows us.
You mean you don't put a brand behind their ear and say, hey, you belong to the ushering team. Don't you dare think of going over to Doug Gamble or I will excommunicate you from Crossroads.
Right.
You don't do that?
No, because we know that God's moving people. We don't want people to be, and this isn't necessarily true in volunteering, but we don't want people to be the same place a year from now as they are today. And so we want to really challenge people to take next steps in their life to say, what am I going to do this year in order to better myself to be at a different place? And
Which might mean, I've always wanted to take a trip overseas, so can I not usher this year? I'm going to go and hang out with missions, and maybe the Lord will lead me back, or maybe He'll lead me into youth or whatever.
Right,
I'm okay with
right.
that.
But we want to do that with everybody that comes in, whether they volunteer for me or they volunteer for any ministry here at Crossroads Fellowship. We want to be able to say, what is God up to in your life right now, and what do you think? Let's try to hear from Him as to what He might be doing and want you to do over the course of this next year. Now, God can change those things and those plans that we put into place because we want to be hearing from Him all the time, but we want to be at a different place further down that road to become a fully devoted follower of Jesus Christ a year from now, and then the following year and the year after that, so that we're not 3 years from now still where we are today. We really know that that people are looking for a relationship. So that's the whole key. So they're not coming in saying, show me my place to serve, show me my place to, where's my small group. They're really not coming in thinking those things, but we know that that's really what they're looking for. So we offer them some places where they can tell me today that they want to do it, and tomorrow I can get them connected into it. So we call those first serve opportunities within the church, so they can get their feet wet. They can greet at the door. They might usher. They might go over and help with the students or serve in the nursery or something like that. But they decide whether that's really what they think that they're supposed to be doing. And I tell them it's okay to come back to me and say, no, that's not it, and we find them a different place. So we don't put people places in ministry or in areas of service and say, good luck with that. I hope you have fun. We check in with them once we've talked to them and we placed them somewhere. We check in with them a couple months later and say, how's it going with that? How are you doing in the nursery? How are you doing greeting? Whatever. And the interesting thing is, if we can get them involved in an area of relationship, they'll stay for a while because they're getting to know people and really enjoying what they're doing. And then as they continue to participate here, that passion will start to.
You mentioned something real quick there, but you said we check back in with them. That certainly isn't an accident, because I know when you've assigned me to call someone, then I start getting the third email like, Doug, have you called Sally Joe and talked to her about short-term trips? That you're not going to be content until I say, yes, I called and talked to her and we've got her connected and she's moving toward a short-term trip. Then you let me off the hook. So that's important in any system, small or large, to have a system to encourage people to migrate through their ministry journey. Kathy, I'm going to have an attachment to this video so people can kind of get the main points you've listed. And I know you're a voracious leader. People laugh at my library, and I say, you don't know what a library is till they walk into your room. And when I don't have time to read your book, I give it to you, and I know you'll read it real quick, and then I can go get the cliff notes from you. So I love that you're a reader. But you've kind of developed, I think, a mind map. You've kind of got a paradigm that you work from. How did that get formed? What are some resources or conferences, or how did you get sort of this mindset that informs you for what you've been describing? Because you're going through the pieces really well, but there's this rich sort of thing that you've developed, and I wonder how you would encourage people maybe to develop. Like if I'm a senior pastor or I'm leading a nonprofit, I'm thinking, boy, I wish I had a Kathy Meadows on my staff. What would you encourage them to do to find the Kathy Meadows they need to help them assimilate volunteers or clients or whatever?
I think one of the key things, is to, I really believe God called me into this ministry based on, all the work that he was doing. I've worked in the church over many years, and then having had the life situation that I did have. But about 15 years ago, or maybe 18 years ago, I went to a conference on spiritual gift and personality assessments. And it really, that almost changed my life in the sense of we're not filling slots, we're taking people's lives and their calling and the way God's designed them to be.
We're cooperating with God's plan for their life.
Exactly. And so that was really the thing for me, because I remember even in my early days as a Christian, I remember I was a women's leader, I was a youth leader, I did children's ministry, I headed up VBS and sang in the choir and all those things. And I remember for my own self leaving some of those things and going, man, I'm glad that was over. You hate to say that. So that made me realize that there's probably other people that are feeling that same way. So they're doing some things, they're doing it out of a favor, they're doing it because there was a need in the bulletin and the need's been in there for 3 or 4 weeks now and they probably should do something. But it's really about finding that place of fulfilled ministry that you can't wait to get here to do. And I think about when you go to the beach and everybody's played with a beach ball at the beach or even at a pool, and you push that beach ball under the water. And as soon as you let go of that ball, it pops right back up again. You can't keep it under there. You can't squelch it. You can't get rid of it. And so the whole thing, that's really the passion, that's God-given passion that God has put into our life. We can't suppress it. It's going to keep bubbling up. It's going to keep coming up. And so really tapping into that and helping people realize what is your beach ball that keeps popping above the surface, and what is it that we could help you do.
I am so grateful that you would take time to really get to the heart of this, and we're going to let you list maybe 4 or 5 books you would recommend and put it on this outline that goes with this video. I hope you kind of captured the spirit and the heart of volunteerism is not about filling slots. And believe me, I've been in ministry 38 years. I know about filling slots. It's a terrible place to be as a pastor, but at some point we have to decide, I'm going to give up that transactional mindset and think transformatively and outlast the distance from moving from just stuffing roles to maybe reimagining how I lead and let our church develop based on the people God's brought here. This is harder, it's slower, but your proof, and I think the Crossroads has the proof of satisfied, fulfilled people who wouldn't quit their job if they wouldn't let us let them
Take them
not
out of
volunteer.
it.
They're not giving up that role. It's theirs. It's got their name on it, and that's because of a lot of the work and ministry you've done here. And I really thank you. As a friend, the best thing I ever did was say yes when you said, "I want to work here."
Yes.
That was great. You just celebrated 24 years.
It was the best thing for
here.
me.
Yeah, it was sweet. Well, thanks, Kathy, and we're going to switch gears to another topic here in a minute. But thanks, and if you want to learn more about assimilation, this is the expert I always turn to. Thanks a lot.